One of the advantages of recording my rides is I can look and see what ride I hadn't done in a while, and I have not done the inland rail trail here in 4 months. A lot of the reason for that is because it gets hot up in Escondido, which is where we're going to end up. Especially recently. It's been like 90 or higher. But the heat wave is broken. I think it's only supposed to be in the high 70s up here today. I don't really need the map to do this ride, but might as well let it run. I'm going to charge up the phone. This trail barely pokes its nose into Vista, but they are working to expand it. At some point when I park at the Civic Center station, I'll be able to just get on the bike trail there. I could park on Phillips right next to where the trail is, and I'm sure it would be fine, but I don't mind that little Phillips Street ride to get to the station. Gives you a little taste of what Vista really is, which is hilly. It's not Laguna Niguel hilly, but they got some hills. They call it Vista for a reason. The first of many train sightings, I'm sure. This trail mostly parallels the Sprinter line, and the Sprinter runs every half hour, so we can expect a train to come by every 15 minutes. So we're going to do every inch of this thing today. When we get to Escondido, we'll take the little leg that runs down to Harmony Grove Drive, and then we'll come back up and ride through downtown and take the Escondido Creek Trail. I think Google Maps said 32 miles or so. This is gradually uphill, but you get some views of the mountains off in the distance. But it's mostly flat. It's right next to the train track. How hilly can it be? So Google Maps says 3 hours to do this ride, but you can make pretty good time on this trail. It's not too crowded. We'll hit traffic lights while we're paralleling Mission, but mostly there's not too much stopping. And hopefully we'll get lucky with the train because we're paralleling the train track. If a train happens to come, then all the gates go down and there won't be traffic going in the opposite direction of me. Not the opposite direction, but crossing the path. Well, it'll be interesting to see how much new housing has been built since the last time I was up here. There was one thing up here they were working on. It was a hill that you would think nobody could build anything on, and they carved it out and reinforced the part behind it, made it a big wall, and put a lot more units in there than you'd have thought possible, but that's good. We need more housing, and especially you want a lot of housing density near the train stations. Although I have to say, I think the last time I was on the Sprinter was when I did a ride with Bob, and I got on and he was not able to get on. They promised almost 2 years ago that they were going to start adding a second car. The Sprinter actually gets more traffic than the Coaster, mostly because it connects 2 colleges up here. But there's only room for 4 bicycles, and that space you have to compete with handicapped people and homeless people with big carts. So instead of doing better, they just changed the recording to say they couldn't promise you could get on with your bicycle, and that's not really reliable transportation. Plus, it's only 20 minutes to drive from if there's no traffic, to drive from my house up to the Vista Civic Center where we started. It's only about 10 miles. Takes an hour for the Sprinter to get from Oceanside to Escondido. It only costs $2.50 to ride, which is the same as the buses, and is a bargain compared to the $5 to $6.50 you have to pay for the coaster. But even so, I'm not spending $5 worth of gas driving up to the station and back, so